Howdy, I'm Ben Solak. We're watching 2024 NFL Draft Quarterbacks. Welcome to the play sheet. The opening script, Jayden Daniels, and the second overall pick. It is full-on NFL Draft quarterback season here on the play sheet. We did J.J. McCarthy 2 weeks ago, we did Drake May last week, and today we're doing LSU passer Jayden Daniels. What a career it's been for Jayden Daniels. He was recruited to Arizona State by Antonio Pierce, who's now the head coach of the Raiders. He was going to throw passes to Brandon Ayuk, who's been on the Niners for like 5 seasons. Jayden Daniels has been in college a long time. And he's been a starter that whole time. Jayden Daniels is a 5-year starter. He started 55 games over his career. 3 seasons at Arizona State, 2 seasons at LSU, and most recently in 2023, his Heisman season. 3,800 passing yards, 40 touchdowns to 40 picks, and for good measure, another 1,100 rushing yards and 10 touchdowns? Come on, brother. Productive. So that was quite the explosion for Jayden Daniels, that late career surge. And as he climbed in the ranks of college quarterbacks to eventually win that Heisman Trophy, so too did he climb in the ranks of NFL draft quarterbacks, joining that top tier with USC's Caleb Williams and UNC's Drake May. As it stands today, just a little bit over 2 weeks before the NFL draft kicks off, Jayden Daniels is the favorite to go second overall to the Washington Commanders. So why has Daniels risen so far so fast? And should the Commanders really be taking him at 2? Let's go to play action. A lot of the talk with Jayden Daniels always starts with the rushing ability, the scramble stuff. I want to start with the vertical passing, and particularly the red zone and end zone passing, because this guy put 6 points on the board with the vertical shots, the vertical placement. LSU loved slot fade. All right, we're going to get the slot receiver on a vertical stem, and then he's going to work to the front pylon. This route's just going to stay underneath. Whatever it's going to break, doesn't matter. They want to get to that outside vertical shot, but they're going to have Malik Neighbors do it from the slot because you get the free release, right? You don't have to deal with the press coverage. So, This is the player they love. They have Malik Neighbors for it. They have Brian Thomas for it. They have the wide receivers for it. But the quarterback needs to be able to take this football, put it downfield, above that corner, high and away from that coverage, right? And we have 19 different reps that we could go through. We're only going to go through a couple. But the way that Daniels places this ball and takes advantage of the speed at receiver that he has, right? Okay, you know that Neighbors is going to outrun this guy. Put this somewhere high and away and let Neighbors win the box out for you, right? You see Neighbors slow down and create that throwing window. We broke down this exact play for Neighbors on our Marvin Harrison versus Malik Neighbors play sheet a few weeks ago. You can watch that one too. But this is excellent placement from the pocket from Jayden Daniels to put this ball where it belongs on this route. And if you watch in the pocket, he's going to get lit up by a Christmas tree, and he doesn't mind, right? Because he is willing to throw this one-on-one every single time, and even with pressure coming down the barrel, he throws with great accuracy. Top of the screen this time, Brian Thomas in the slot, right? Not Malik Neighbors. What we like about this one for Daniels, all right, 3-step rhythm and throw, is that the slot fade is giving you space into the sideline, right? Instead of having the vertical route come here and you're tight to the sideline here, instead now you're running this at the numbers. You have space to throw this over the outside shoulder. Watch Daniels throw, pull Brian Thomas toward the sideline, away from coverage, away from the safety, but still be within reach. This is like legitimately, no embellishment, a perfectly placed football. It does not get better than that on this route. And that's with his back up against the own end zone, right? And so the explosive play potential, because the way he throws down the field, man, I mean, like the vertical stuff is excellent. So because you have a quarterback like Daniels, who will throw the ball on these vertical routes, he'll throw them in rhythm, right? It's not like, oh, sit there, pad the ball. Okay, let me send a shot. It's like, no, like I will 3-7 drop a 50-50, like a 9 route, and I will let my receivers win for me. What you can do is you can structurally push those receivers down the field, really create a vertical stretch, and then allow your scrambling quarterback to take advantage of the space created underneath. And Daniels did that at a ridiculous level. This is the third quarter from the Florida game. We're going to see the Florida game a lot. And that's because the Florida game, he had 350 passing yards and 200 rushing yards. It was the first game ever that anybody's done that, right? It's a really, really cool game because you just see the insane amount of explosiveness that Daniels can create. You also see some of the issues. We're going to get to those. This concept, right? They're going to go in breaker here from the tight end, and then behind that, like this looks like it's going to be a vertical, and then they stop it right past the sticks. And they love to do this, right? Because they will run this vertical and throw this vertical a lot. And so they'll have the receiver create vertical presence on you, and then all of a sudden he'll stop, he'll throw in the brakes, and Daniels will throw it right to a spot. Now Florida knows this, and accordingly, this player's going to buzz right underneath this comeback that Jayden Daniels wants. All right, so we're going to see that play out to the top of the screen. That's where Daniels' eyes go. Slam on the brakes. We have that zone defender buzzing underneath. Now backside, you have like a bender, which isn't being run very actively, And then you have this 9 route. You can try to throw this late. It's extremely difficult to come back to this and throw it on time. This bender is working into the safety. This inbreaker is going to get covered up. Like, the concept-wise, this was always supposed to go up here. And LSU knows Jayden Daniels is a little bit like a first-read guy. He's just going to kind of throw it to the first spot. So it's supposed to go up there. He doesn't have it. Daniels falls back. He goes to look at the comeback, and he starts to throw this. And really, like, he just should. Like, you should just throw this, right? I mean, like, nearest defender is here. Here's the zone defender. And this is what all the verticality does, right? Look at the depth of all these Florida defenders. When you run this vertical offense, you create so much space underneath. And so really, like, just check this down. Just dump this off. It's a very reasonable, acceptable thing to do. You're going to stay ahead of the sticks. 2nd and 4, it's going to be great. Daniels eats it, all right? He eats it because he feels this alley between the center and the guard. And then... and then... Dude, this is... Do you guys remember that Lamar... I think it was against the Bengals, like in the playoffs. Daniels and Lamar is not a good comparison because Lamar throws to the middle of the field and Lamar will throw on the run. We're going to get to a lot of this stuff. But the ability to be in tight areas, to be in condensed spaces with like 5 or 6 bodies around you, some of them are blockers, some of them are defenders, and to just seem like you're in total control. Like, you know where everybody's going to be the smoothest runner. Like that's where Lamar and Daniels absolutely share some traits. So, okay. We're looking at that comeback. We can't throw it. Maybe we're thinking about throwing this to the middle of the field. The safety's closing down. Okay, let's throw the check down. Wait a minute. Look at, oh, baby. I don't want to throw no check down. Look what I got right here. So he eats this ball. And then this is just stupid, right? It's that one on 10 that gets me every time. It's 10 right here. Bye. See the weight, right? He just weaves. Just they're like, and then back this way, and then back and just leaning back and forth. Oh, it's so freaking effortless, dude. Daniels is such a legitimate rushing threat that whatever offense he enters in the league is going to structurally include Jayden Daniels rushes, right? You think about Cliff Kingsbury, who's the OC there in Washington, and the way he worked with Kyler Murray in Arizona. You think about recent Jalen Hurts offenses with Philadelphia, Justin Fields when he was with Chicago. You don't want Daniels to be rushing the ball, I think, like 10 times a game because of the frame. Jayden Daniels is almost 6'4", and he's sub 210, which is a really thin build, and he does not protect his body well at all. We have a lot of reps of Jayden Daniels just jumping into contact and staying inbounds when he should go out of bounds, taking shots over the middle of the field, pursuing defenders, guys that he sees, guys he doesn't see. And that amount of contact is going to wear on any body type at quarterback, let alone a body type that doesn't have a lot of body armor the way that Jayden Daniels does. So you really, you have to be careful with how much you're going to use him as a dual threat. You have to worry about the amount of shots he's going to take. You have to try to convince him and teach him to just step outside of bounds and don't take these hits anymore. But you can't not run it with him. You can't say, oh, we're just going to do the scramble drops, because he's going to run no matter what, right? He's going to scramble inarguably, but he also is just so fast, right? It's not just the smoothness, not just the avoiding, slippering around and the cuts and the jukes. It's just the speed. This is just zone read. It's just zone read, and the safety steps down because of the play call, and Jayden Daniels pulls it on the edge, and then it's a foot race, and that's Justin Fields nonsense right there, right? Where it's like, okay, I get to a corner and now I'm gone. You can't not do this, right? Like that's something that Lamar isn't doing anymore, like running away from guys. Kyler was never really doing this. Hurts was never really doing this. Like that's Josh Allen, Justin Fields stuff where you were legit fast enough to just beat a safety to the end zone. You were turning a 15-yard run into a 75-yard run and a touchdown. That is an enormous deal. So that's Jayden Daniels, right? He's just a walking explosive play. Well, you put him a quarterback, rip off 50-yard chunks, GG's in the chat. But alas, as fun as that is, and as good as some of the film is, there are some major red flags with Daniels' profile. And we should start with some of the scrambling stuff. Here's a great stat from Nate Tice's write-up for Yahoo Sports about Jayden Daniels. Since 2019, as far back as True Media's data goes, no quarterback has scrambled more times than Daniels did in college. 258 career scrambles. Not only sits firmly at the top, it sits in its own stratosphere. Now, scrambling is cool and good. We want quarterbacks in the league to scramble and to scramble more. It's a positive play, not just because it gains yardage, but it often also erases a sack, right? It's taking a negative play away, which we love a scramble. The problem is what it tells us about Daniels' relationship to pressure. Daniels' scramble rate when pressured is almost double that of like any other top quarterback in this class. He's a high scramble rate guy against pressure because he drops his eyes. He doesn't really try to find throws or get outside the pocket and change the geometry of the defense. He's just, okay, like I feel a little uncomfortable, I'm running. And as is often the case, a high scramble rate guy against pressure is going to be a high sack rate guy against pressure. You can see here for some like recently highly drafted quarterbacks, Jayden Daniels' career pressure to sack rate, how many of his pressures he turns into sacks, is worryingly high, right? We're in like the Hendon Hooker, Daniel Jones range of things. And he's not even paying that off with like big time throws. This is a guy who, when pressure comes, it kind of ruins his process. Now, we have to go back to the film for this because the sack stuff is obvious. The scramble stuff is really like a bit of a gray area because Daniels was such a good scrambler. Every single scramble was so valuable, was so helpful to the LSU offense that there's a little bit of like structural choices here. Let's go to the film. This is one of the most interesting plays of any quarterback that I've watched this year. There's a lot going on. Florida sending pressure. All right, it's sim pressure actually. So we're gonna drop this edge off, rush with these three defensive linemen, and then we bring this nickel. And right now you can't kind of see it because the running back is there, but Jayden Daniels has his hand up. He's pointing to that nickel. You see it come back down right there, and his head goes and checks it a couple times. You can see end zone view. Watch him peek here to that left side, right? See, he peeked that nickel, and then the back goes and picks it up, right? So like, okay, it feels like Daniels knew that was coming. Back to the sideline view. Concept-wise, we're gonna get an out at 10 yards right here. That's the backside look. The front side look is they're running a little like post and then wheel. We love a post wheel. And usually when you got post wheel, that's primary read. That's front side. You got to be reading this out. And then the drag is going to come in behind it from the opposite side, right? So this to me is like, this is your stretch. This is your 3-level read. And you can go ahead and you can take this if you feel like you have one-on-one coverage, you have good leverage, and you just like the matchup, right? So you can kind of alert over here, but you should probably be reading this out. That's how I understand this concept. Now, Daniels expects the nickel to come, all right? Snap this football. The nickel comes. At that point, once the nickel's on the way, I'm expecting one-on-one coverage right here. And so I feel like I can throw this. Like that is now active for me. But Daniels, initially he looks front side, right? We're gonna have the post right here and the wheel right here. And right now, like this looks pretty nicely gloved up, doesn't it? Right? Like if you take this back and you watch it from the beginning, this corner drops off. And so he's always gonna be in the wheel window, right? Usually you're trying to throw this wheel. Post-wise, the safety's moving away from us, but we have a body right here. We have a body right here because that safety buzzed down. Like I don't think we're getting to the post. If I'm looking at this front side, I don't like it, and I feel like I know the coverage I have over here. So I'm gonna throw that outbreaker. Now, Daniels looks at it, opens the hands, and then eats it again. It's kind of like we saw in that check down earlier. Daniels is pretty guilty of giving a lot of these where he opens the hands and then he thinks better of it and he goes to run. It's not being super safe with the football and get you in trouble in the pocket. But in general here, like he seems to understand everything that's going on. Like I expected the nickel pressure. I'm going to have that backside one-on-one. I look front side. I don't like the way this reads out. Let me land on my back foot. Let me throw this outbreaker. And then he just eats it. And that to me is weird. So now what's Daniels going to do? Well, he already showed us what he does with that check down that he didn't throw, right? The second he separates his hands and he decides not to throw it for whatever reason, he's dropping his eyes, right? This is a clean pocket right now, right? You picked this up, you pressure, this is clean, but he's going to drop his eyes. He's going to step forward into the pocket and he's going to try to find somewhere to scramble, right? So you see, okay, run around, then he finds some space, and then, okay, this is going to be like a 25-yard gain. Incredible. So this is your typical Jayden Daniels, like, I went through my reads, I made a good decision, and I didn't throw this. I find that to be weird. The second thing I find to be weird is what's happening with Malik Neighbors. Because Malik Neighbors, star receiver, man. Malik Neighbors, good ball player. Runs that post, right? Okay, we're trying to just pull coverage so the wheel can open up. He gets in the middle of the field. There's a huge void right here, right? Safety is still deep. I'm not asking Daniels to throw this because the safety is going to close down on it. You have an underneath defender here. I'm not asking him to throw this right now. Once Daniels drops his eyes and starts to run around, coaching-wise, Malik Neighbors should be working to this void and throwing his hands up, right? Throw it to me. I am open. I'm going to save you from the scramble drill. Especially like Daniels here, like he could go a bunch of different ways. Once Daniels starts to get out to the left, right? Once you can see, oh, my quarterback's running this way, you should be going, like, look at all this room, dude. This is Malik Neighbors, right? This is like ball in his hands, running a 4-3-5. We're scoring 6. This is a really, really, really dangerous receiver. Look at all this room in the scramble drill as Daniels works to his left. An NFL quarterback here would be staying behind the line of scrimmage and trying to get Malik to come with him. Use your gravity. Pull him, and then throw to Malik Neighbors. An NFL receiver also, because it's not all on Jayden, should be doing the same thing as well. And Malik just is like, oh, Jayden's out of the pocket. I'm never getting this ball. And just, he doesn't do anything. And you can even see there's a little bit of frustration on him. Watch Malik. You see him clap his hands? Right here. I don't know if is he frustrated himself because he didn't get a block in? Because if he blocks this safety, right, then Jayden could potentially go in and score. So he might be frustrated with himself. I could also see him being frustrated with the fact that he feels like he should be getting the ball now, which again, I'm not sure I think Jayden should throw this, but I do think that in most offenses, this player goes here, and you throw to your top 10 pick at receiver down the field in a scramble drill. And at LSU, they just don't do that. Malik doesn't try it, and Jayden doesn't try it. It's just, oh no, Jayden's running. This is part of the way the offense works. I find that very interesting. Here's a great example of what you want to see more of from Jayden Daniels. All right, we're gonna get a 3-man rush from Alabama. Jayden was not good against rush 3, drop 8. I think that it messed with his tempo and his understanding of the field a lot. But primary read, we're gonna have Malik Neighbors breaking in on the dig, right? Seems gonna clear this out. The problem is the safety steps down into the window, right? So Jayden's looking to throw that dig there from Neighbors. He's got his eyes on it, body set to it right now. With the safety stepping down, this is a good eat, right? Don't throw this. That's a great decision. Now, check downs are pretty nicely covered up, right? And okay, 3-man rush turned to lose in the interior. So Jayden's going to start to work to his right and use your movement to your right to change the gravity of the field a little bit, right? So as I move to the right, scramble drill rules. This wide receiver starts working back to the sideline. He's pulling that corner away. Neighbors kept running, right? There's Neighbors now running away from that safety who stepped into the hole. Now make the throw on the run. This is a challenging throw. And it dies a little bit on him. He's got to get back to it. Jayden's arm strength gets talked about crazy. It's fine. It's not that great. But okay, don't throw that to Malik on the first look. Here comes the pressure. Now get out to your right. Keep your eyes down the field. See that you're pulling players towards you, pulling players into the sideline. Make this throw on the run. And now again, that ball should be delivered here, and Malik Neighbors should be able to catch it standing up and then turn and run. Instead, it pulls him down, and he has to dive down to go get it. But you got a good receiver. He's going to make you right. But this is what you want to see him try more, right? Because as he gets outside of the pocket here, there's no world for you in which this has to be a scramble. This is going to be a throw, and he gets that off. So this is what you want to see more of. The problem is, in order to have plays like that, you have to be poised. And Jayden Daniels lacks poise, right? He lacks comfort when he's feeling the tightness of that pocket. He doesn't like a hot pocket, right? He doesn't like to feel that constriction. There's no, stand tall and let's deliver. He gets the check down sometimes, not as much as he should. You'd like to see him escape out of the back door more, right? You go leave the back of the pocket and then and escape out the back door and go and create a scramble drill, right? He can't. He always steps forward into the pocket and invites pressure. He creates sacks for himself. I love this concept from LSU. I'm going to go crosser here, and then an even bigger crosser behind it. And that's meant to pull, right? That's meant to yank safeties in that direction so that behind it, they can get it's not Malik Neighbors, Brian Thomas climbing to the opposite pylon. And then underneath right here, you're going to run just a little pivot route, keep the underneath defender down there. So this is our primary read right here. This is who we want. So Jayden Daniels finishes the drop back. This player has leverage, right? He has the leverage to the outside, right? He's got this corner stacked. We're pulling coverage this way, and this corner is still low. This throw is going to this void. Throw this with touch over and hit in stride, right? This is the primary on the concept is open. Daniels is going to look at it and then step up into the pocket into a massive hit. Now, from the end zone view, because you look at the outside like, oh no, there was pressure. There really wasn't. This is blocked up, baby. Come on. This is a good pocket. It's an NFL pocket, but this is a good pocket, all right? You have to be able to hold. You see his eyes drop right there. You have to be able to stand in this pocket, hold your water. You need a 3/4 of a second until he turns his head and you can throw him this ball. You can throw it even a little earlier, throw the anticipation. Just put a little bit of loft on it. But he drops his eyes and then he goes to climb where there's never going to be any space. And he takes a big shot. It's a sack on a third down. That's a wasted drive because he didn't stay in the pocket and just feel comfortable with a little bit of trash around him. Here's Malik Neighbors, all right, on that crosser now this time. And this one's not climbing the way the other one did. It's staying shallow, but still. Watch Malik the whole time. All right, player watching Malik. Throws the hand up. Open, right? Cleared that linebacker. Watch Malik. And listen, it was a big play, right? Jayden Daniels, explosive gain. Look at the run. Crazy. Malik's frustrated, dude. You are open, you are the read, and the pocket is clean. It is very good to be very fast and to outrun. And there's so much space, right? Again, we talked about they create space in this offense for him. They run all these routes so far down the field so as to create room for Jayden Daniels to climb into run because he's so dangerous. But this is frustrating. Like this is frustrating for a receiver to play with. It absolutely is. Now, star receiver frustration that he doesn't get the ball on every play does not an evaluation make. Okay, when star receivers, that's what they do, and we don't want to put too much of this on Jayden because again, he's scrambling for like 25 yards on these plays, and so we're looking at them being like, oh, in structure, you got to make these throws, but he's also more than moving the sticks, he's like powering his whole offense. And so, how much do we fault him for this? How much is this something he can learn, can't learn? You try to figure that out in the evaluation. One thing that you do have to look at, you have to worry about a little bit, is how he throws to the middle of the field. Because a high scramble rate, high sack rate quarterback who doesn't like to throw to the middle of the field is a model we've seen in the league. We've seen Russell Wilson. We've seen Justin Fields. We know the issues with that build. And Jayden doesn't like to throw to the middle of the field, and he's usually late when he throws middle of the field. 2-play sequence from Auburn here. This, a nice completion. Middle of the field, all right? They're going to throw this backside dig right here. We love backside dig. So that's pro concept, right? We're going to get come back there, and then we're going to get the slot fade here. Jayden's initially looking to this two receiver side. He doesn't like the way that it plays out, and rightfully so, right? They get coverage gloving up that look. And so Jayden gets his eyes to the backside, gets his feet to the backside. You would like to be throwing this right now, right as his eyes snap back to the quarterback. You'd like to be getting this ball out, hitting him right on the hash, right? That's the ideal timing. Jayden is just a little bit lackadaisical in the pocket. He's a little bit slow to get to the backside, and accordingly, this ball is a step late. Now, you say, Ben, dude, who cares? Like, okay, deep safety, linebacker, corners out leverage. Like, look at the size of this window. He can be a little late to this throw, and you're absolutely right. So, like, it's a little bit late, but who gives a hoot? I give a hoot. Next play. This is later, same quarter against Auburn, all right? And again, we start with split field safeties. Last time one of these guys rotated middle of the field. This time they're going to stay split field, all right? When we get a vertical route here on the outside, outbreaker right here, that's the front side. That's what Daniel's looking at. He ends up not liking it, and he's going to take this backside dig to Malik Neighbors. And actually, this slot receiver here is basically just running a curl, and you're trying to run that dig in behind it, and the curl's not even going to develop. He's literally just going to block that slot defender because Daniel's kind of a one-read guy. You're pretty much you're reading this out, and if you don't like that, you're throwing this all the time. It's kind of like one or the other with Daniels. All right, so we're gonna throw the backside dig. Looking front side. There we go. All right, get to the backside dig. Now watch him bounce in the pocket. There's a little bounce, and then he throws. Where did we say we wanted this throw to be? We want it to be on him, right? He's on the hash. Eyes are to you. You want this ball to be arriving right now because he has space on the safety, he has space on the corner. We are late to this throw. This is late. And in this offense, all right, Malik Neighbors, Brian Thomas, some vertical routes, they got all these RPOs going. They create so much space, and Daniels creates so much space, right? Because he's a scrambling ability, and you have to have a spy for him, and the rush has to change. Like they create so much room in this offense that he can get away with being late on these throws. When the windows get a little more NFL-y, all right, when we're a little bit more tight to the routes here, we cannot be this late. Safety collisions, the catch point, tip drill, interception. So this is the sort of thing where you go, okay, in the league, the windows are going to look a lot more like that than they looked on the first play. And that beat of being late, oh, it's not a big deal. No, it starts to become a big deal when we're playing at NFL speed. What do you think? Should we do one more play of Daniels not anticipating middle of the field window, or should we just do one more play of him breaking 7 angles on a scramble? Let's do the second one. 3rd and 9. Okay, 2-minute drill. Down by 7. Dallas Turner, top 20 pick, is going to win on the high side rush. Watch Jayden. Huh? He's so fast. Kool-Aid McKinstry, right? He thinks like, all right, like Jayden's going to slide. No. Fun player, man. So in Daniels, we have the sort of player in terms of physical toolkit, in terms of attributes, who doesn't come out every year, right? Like this is a legitimate, like game-breaking runner at the NFL level who also has like a very serious downfield arm. Right? Philadelphia's Super Bowl run 2 seasons ago showed you what you can do if you can launch that sucker and then play 11 on 11 in the running game, right? You can just drop 35 on anybody. So that's huge for Daniels, and it's why he's in top 5 consideration. And particularly when you look at the Commanders with Cliff Kingsbury as their offensive coordinator, the puzzle pieces fit pretty nicely. Daniels wants to throw the ball vertically. That's what Cliff and that air raid offense wants to do. With Kyler in Arizona, Cliff wanted to involve the quarterback in the running game, play read option, counter bash, do all like the cool college quarterback run game stuff, and Jayden gives you that. Jayden tends to be kind of like a one read and go quarterback. Cliff's offense isn't very progression based. You can kind of be a one read passer and be successful. The marriage is clear and it's nice and it makes sense. With that said, fit isn't the whole thing. The quarterback also has to be able to scale to the NFL level. And there are some pretty substantial red flags with Daniels' evaluation. The sack rate when pressured is scary. The scramble rate when pressured is scary. But it's not like, these numbers are bad. It's just when you watch him and you see the response to pressure, it's just not the sort of player that typically succeeds at the NFL level. We'd like for our NFL quarterbacks to be able to check the ball down and get to their backside of their reads and make plays within structure when pressured, not to freak out and lose their poise as Daniels often does. We also have to consider the late breakout, right? Jayden Daniels, 5-year starter, only really started to dominate college in his 5th season, once he was remarkably more experienced and remarkably older than the players he was facing. People like to make the Daniels to Joe Burrow comparison because they're both at LSU, won the Heisman. But remember, Burrow was only a 2-year starter because he didn't start at Ohio State. Daniels has a lot more experience. Daniels' profile is actually a lot more similar to that of like a Kenny Pickett coming out of Pitt, where they only started to dominate once they were way older, more experienced than everybody else, and also when they had like some star NFL talent at wide receiver. So you have a red flag for age and breakout. You have a red flag for response to pressure, right, with the sack rate stuff and the scramble rate stuff. And then you also have the red flag because of the frame. Like we talked about, 6'4", 205, and taking all of these terrible, terrible hits. It becomes challenging then to find like comparisons for Jayden Daniels. Oh, is he going to be like a Tyrod Taylor, who's like a great scrambler and a good thrower downfield, but never steady enough to really be a starter in the league? He's going to be an RG3 who's a sensation when he's healthy, but can never stay healthy. Is he going to be Lamar Jackson, win the MVP twice? Like, all of these don't feel complete for the player that Jayden Daniels is. Me personally, if I'm taking a quarterback at 2 overall, I'd like to take a little bit more of a known commodity. I know what he is and I know what he isn't. But with Jayden Daniels, you're talking sky high potential, revolutionary sort of a player. I understand the appeal, even if personally, a little too risky for my blood. Not for me. And that'll do it for us here on the Play Sheet. Thank you so much for watching our Jayden Daniels episode. As I said, we got a JJ McCarthy episode. We got a Drake May episode. We got a Malik Neighbors, Marvin Harrison episode. Guess what? We're going to have a Caleb Williams episode. We're going to keep doing episodes all the way up to the NFL draft. So subscribe and you watch the videos and you like them.